So these days, every call that I do, doesn't matter if it's a sales call, in some cases even a personal call, if it's business related, it's always the same. I always do the same thing. I say hi, I do some small talk, and then I move on to the reason why we're talking. Now, there's different views of the whole small talk thing. Like, especially American sales trainers often say, well, it's useless. Like, just get to the meat, get to the point. And I don't know. I genuinely don't know about that. I personally think it's better to do some small talk like a human being, not like you're some cocaine addicted rabbit that just calls people all day, back business. Relax. When you're a human being, usually there's some small talk there, and then you transition into the reason why you're calling, right? It's normal. This is the way we do things. So let me give you a decent example. Let's say I'm calling a guy and he's in Canada. Now, I have never been to Canada. I know a few people from Canada. Let's say I call him. Usually what I would do is say, hey, what is it with you, like 8 p.m. or something? You're in a fake time zone, right? This is the real time zone. Where I live, this is a real time zone. I think everyone should switch to that time zone. Like, we're sort of bantering, we're having fun, right? I could also say, hey, oh, good to talk to you. It's actually interesting. I've never been to Canada. I've been to the USA. Now, which part of Canada are you in? And just, it's simple. It's easy. It's two people talking. Relax, right? Now, what you want to do is you don't want to lengthen that to like 10, 15, 20 minutes. I used to have a client and he was very convinced about the reptilians and that they live in the middle of the earth. And every call with him, like whenever I had to call him, like the first 5 minutes would be about the reptilians and the brain wave altering technology that they're hanging everywhere. And at a certain point, I just had to cut him off, say, hey man, you're absolutely right. I do understand it's a big problem, but I might run out of time if I don't get to the reason why I'm calling today. So if necessary, you need to do that. But usually there's sort of a natural progression into that. So you do some small talk, and then you say, oh, so the reason why we're calling today is, and then we get into the business portion of it, right? And then you can sort of summarize why you're actually talking. So, hey, the reason why I'm calling you today is that we talked about your short reels on Instagram and YouTube, and maybe we're compatible there in some way, shape, or form. Real quick, what we talked about was, and then you sort of summarize what you've talked about. Like, if there's nothing you've talked about, you can sort of summarize what you've seen. So what I always do is say, real quick, these are the things that I have right now. So just interrupt me or say that I'm wrong if I'm saying something wrong. I just want to check if my data is correct, right? And then I go over like whatever I know. So let's say in this case, I'm a video editor. So well, what I've seen is that you use some videos like long form, but I don't see any reels on Instagram. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. And the same thing on YouTube, because there's, and TikTok as well. There's some reusability there, but currently you're not using those media channels, or you're using those once a day or whatever, right? You're just making sure that you're correct here, because you don't want later on to be corrected and have wrong data. So we open the call. There's some small talk. The reason why I'm calling today is, and then let me go over real quick what I've got here, or what we talked about, or what I've seen. Interrupt me if there's anything wrong, if I'm not mistaken, and then you sort of go over it. And then from there on out, we go into qualifying. So we've laid a base, like opening, small talk, into business, overview of what you know, and now we go into, hey, a couple more things that I wanted to ask you, and then you can go into qualification.